Hello everyone, welcome to CryptoPie, the hub to transform trading using technical analysis and risk management. What we see here today is the Bitcoin chart making all-time highs, reaching to $120,000, so more than 121. Oh, the high was at $123,218. That is an incredible level to be achieved. And given that Euphoria has begun, or it seems like Euphoria has begun, I have selected a few indicators which will help us to identify when is the Bitcoin top for this cycle. What I have done is created yet another tool. The reason why I say yet is, if you would have seen the past two videos, there are two tools which I shared with you. One was about risk reward versus win rate tool, which helps you to identify your win rate based on what is your risk to reward ratio. And the other one was to compute the position size based on what is the trading amount. So either the complete trading amount or the portion of the capital, then based on how far the risk or how much the risk are you willing to take per trade and how far is the stop loss. Now coming back to today's tool, which is to identify when the Bitcoin top might occur. Of course, there are no guarantees on when the Bitcoin top will occur or at which exact value it will occur, but these 6 tools, which I would not tell them as tools, these are 6 indicators which are developed by various people throughout the years, and I have accumulated them in one place so that you can access them with one click. This tool will be, again, free to access, so it will be easy to just click on it and the page will open and no other charges or hidden things are there. The only way you can charge is basically spending your time in understanding what these indicators do. And if you like these tools, then do hit the subscribe button over here or on the channel. And if you want to support the channel, then you can also check out the Buy Me a Copy website. All right, coming to the tool, the 6 indicators here are divided with their difficulty level. So the first 3, the rainbow chart, bicycle top, and 200-week moving average, I put them under the easy category because once you look at them, the indication whether the top is there or we are very close to the top becomes quite obvious. But then comes the net unrealized profit and loss, golden ratio multiplier, and terminal price. These 3 are slightly more advanced and might require a little bit of read up or understanding of how the chart and how the values play around when the cycle is nearing to the top. You can look at the disclaimer and keep that in mind that this is not financial advice, and none of the tools or videos or suggestions which are offered on CryptoPie are financial advice, but they are for educational purposes, they're for entertainment purposes. If you find some learning value, then that's great. And always do your own research or consult a qualified financial advisor before you plan to invest your money in any of this trading assets. All right, the first one is rainbow charts. When you click on it, it will open, or it will ask if you want to leave the page, and it will open the website of Bitcoin Magazine Pro. And what you will see here is the rainbow tool, which I did discuss in one of my previous videos if you would have looked at them. And what we see here is that whenever the Bitcoin price crosses the red band, it's quite likely that we are already in the distribution phase. That is, we are reaching the Bitcoin cycle top. But this happened only in the first 2 cycles where the price went above the red band. What we see in the later cycles is the price reaches 2 bands lower from the previous cycle high. So for 2018, it reached to the edge of the red band. Then in 2021, we reached to almost orange band, so which was, or the light orange band, which was lower than the 2 bands from the red one. And if we keep on the same pattern, it's quite likely that we might end up somewhere in the yellow band when it will be the Bitcoin top for this particular cycle. Or it can be said that the distribution phase would have begun and price might fluctuate somewhere in the yellow and the light orange band, and then there might be time for its reversal. Of course, we cannot know for sure whether it will shoot up right now with this euphoria going on, or it might take next 2 to 3 quarters to reach to yellow band. The second tool, which also was discussed in the previous video and might get very popular in coming days, and that is bicycle indicator. And this one is simply crossover of 2 moving averages. One of them is 111-day moving average, and the other one is 350-day moving average multiplied by a factor of 2. This indicator, whenever the fast moving average, which is 111-day moving average, crosses over the 350-day moving average with the factor of 2, it indicates a bicycle top. It has done this quite nicely. It has predicted, if you want to put it in some quotation marks, and over here in the last cycle, it did predict the top, and or rather, it did predict the most overbought time of the cycle. When it marked this one as the top, the price of course went slightly above the top which was identified. But at this point, if you would check out the strength in the market, it was already in the direction of going downwards rather than continuing further upwards. So this was the second one, fairly easy. Third one is 200-week moving average heat map. And in this one, it is simply the 200-week moving average. And here, based on how far the price is from the moving average, it indicates the overbought situation of Bitcoin. And we see that in the last cycle, it did not go to the red section, to the red heat map, but it started going from green or light green, and it already shows that there was a reversal about to begin after it had reached the green region. And here, if we compare it with the pi cycle, here was the pi cycle top, and then the price went slightly above, but here it indicates that the reversal had already begun. 200-week moving average can be also can be used to identifying the bottom accumulation phase. Whenever the price reaches the 200-week moving average, then the accumulation phase has begun. We can see it for all of the Bitcoin bottom cycles. Another way we can use 200-week moving average is if you see that this particular horizontal level where the Bitcoin top is, whenever 200-week moving average reaches or crosses the previous cycle's Bitcoin top, that is when usually the distribution phase has begun. So we are very close to the Bitcoin top when the 200-week moving average crosses the previous cycle's Bitcoin high, all-time high. This did happen again for the cycle afterwards. So in the cycle of 2021, it was very close to it. However, it did not happen. It was not very close to it, but you would have still made profit if one would enter at this position and would exit at this one. So this shows that relying on just one indicator probably is not the best strategy, but perhaps to look at multiple indicators in confluence with each other. In this case, as soon as we see that there is oversold over here and the price, the 200-week moving average is crossing above or has started crossing the orange or the red region, that already might start telling us that Bitcoin has reached its distribution phase or reaching its all-time high for the cycle. The other one is net unrealized profit and loss. The details of this indicator are quite well described in the description, and it was created since it's out there since February 2019 on this website for free to be accessed by everyone. Just by looking at it, what we see here is that the blue line is net unrealized profit and loss, also called as NUPL. And whenever the blue line crosses the 0%, that's capitulation, which basically means it's time to start accumulating Bitcoin, but we cannot know how long the accumulation period would last. In the same way, when it crosses the orange one, so that is 50%, or reaches above 75%, that is when it's a euphoria period and the distribution phase has begun. In the last cycle, the NUPL did not reach the 75%, it barely touched the 75% mark, and we would already see the reversal had begun. This indicator does help in the same way like 200-week moving average by color coding when the distribution phase has begun, but it does not tell us the exact date or a range when the Bitcoin top would be already in, or it is about to come in. But what it does tell us is that as soon as the NUPL has crossed 50%, we are in euphoria or going towards euphoria, and the higher the NUPL percentage goes, the distribution phase of Bitcoin has begun. The other indicator is golden ratio multiplier. This one is also very similar to the rainbow chart. However, here you don't see the rainbows, but what you see here are the different moving averages, which are 350-day moving average. Then there are multiples at accumulation high and potential bull high. And in this one, it works in a very similar fashion like rainbow chart, that the high for every next cycle is at a band lower than the previous one. So in this one, it was on the second dotted, so it's a 3x line. And in the last cycle, it reached to probably 1x, or this is 2x line. Or not 2x, but this one is 3x, and this one is 5x, and this one is 8x apparently. That's all. Yeah, that one is 3x, and this one is 5x. Yeah, so it reached in 2018 to the 5x line. Then in 2021, it was to 3x line. And it's quite likely that when it would cross this green one, and when it will reach the red line for this cycle, that will be the red line here, probably we will be in the distribution phase of Bitcoin, and at any point it might hit the Bitcoin all-time high for the cycle, or the all-time high might already be in, and it will be the time for reversal of Bitcoin. This is just an assumption. Of course, we cannot know for sure if that is going to be the case. Terminal price is one of my favorite indicators because what it shows you is very clean chart, though it's slightly tricky to understand how the terminal value is computed, but we can look into it, or you can look into it if you are interested to get deeper into the terminal price. But from just looking at it, whenever the price crosses the terminal price, that's when the distribution phase will begin, and at any point in the near future, Bitcoin will hit the all-time high, or it will hit the level from which there will be the reversal for the beginning of the bear market. There are a few other indicators which are shown on this website, and all of them are open to access, or rather open to access, I would say. They are free to access. And with this tool of Bitcoin top indicators, you can keep these tools on your fingertips and save the tool, and whenever there is euphoria going on, go and refer to these indicators and identify your risk level, your reward level, and if you wish to already start taking profit, or if one wishes to understand when the distribution phase has begun, these are some of the nice indicators, easy to understand indicators to keep in mind. Again, I would suggest to also keep other tools in mind to compute the risk reward and win rate, as well as whenever we are trading, it's good to keep position size in mind to not over risk our portfolio, and to keep stop loss in mind so we can get out of our trade and preserve our portfolio to re-enter the trade whenever the conditions are better. That would be all for today. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.